Welcome back to The Path to Mastery. This is my third part of my three-part series about early scouting and what to look for in each matchup. Today we're going to talk about Protoss. I hit Diamond last season with Protoss, and I got the highest MMR I think I've ever gotten with all of the races. I got about 3,870. I was very close. I was only about 60 MMR away from Diamond 2 as Protoss. So it might be my best race. I'm going to try to figure that out this season as I'm playing random. So I think I have a good idea about what all of the scouting timings and things to do with each matchup, and I kind of want to talk about that today. Day 9 always says that if you don't know what you're scouting for, don't scout. But I'm a firm believer that you should always have an idea of what you should be looking for with the other race, so that you can see if they're doing early pressure. And now all of the replays that we're going to go over today, we're going to talk about what you can see that identifies early pressure. If you don't see any of these things, then you don't really need to worry about it. But I've picked 3 replays that are examples of early pressure, and I wanted to show what you should be able to see with those timings in real time. So first off, let's just talk about the early scout timings as Protoss. There's really 4 timings depending on the matchup. Protoss is a very specific per matchup race. So if you've seen my last videos, you know that if you take a worker directly off of the line and send it across the map at the very beginning of the game, it will arrive at 50 seconds. After that, you could do a pylon scout, or you could do a gate scout, or you could do a special PvP scout, which I do. So this is going to show you the timing it's going to hit with a pylon scout, and then I also pull one more drone for the gate across. So let's take a look. Right here, you see, so at 50 seconds, you would have worker scout in. At 1:04, you're going to be able to see what's going on in the natural off of the pylon. So 1:04 at the nat, or about 50 seconds, 50, let's see, right at the natural, what time does it hit? 59 seconds at the nat. Let's take a 0.59 at nat. All right. Then let's take a look at the gateway. So a minute 25 in the natural. Minute 25 in the natural. All right.
GG. Sorry, man.
And then I will talk about it more in the last part of this, but there's one special scout in PvP that comes at 1 minute and 50 seconds. But that's very unique to just PvP, which I'll talk about then. So we've got basically 4 major time. Well, we'll say 3 major timings. So the drone scout at 50 seconds in the main, the scout off of the pylon at 1:04 in the main, and then the scout off of the first gate at 1 minute and 25 in the main. So let's talk about Zerg first. So this was a replay of a Zerg that went pool first against me in a ZVZ match. And let's see if I can find it. So this is a pool first that I got hit with while I was playing ZVZ. But let's talk about what's going on if I scout at these 3 timings. So the first timing that we're going to hit is 50 seconds. What can we see at 50 seconds as a Protoss? If I was to send a worker directly off of my line at 50 seconds, what would we be able to see? Let's not worry about what he's doing over on the map. Let's just look at the timings. So 50 seconds, really what we have right now is if you send a probe across right at 50 seconds, not a lot going on right now. So not the most important thing to scout against if you're doing Zerg. But if you're going against a random and they like don't tell your race or something, don't tell their race or something like that, maybe it's a good idea to send it across just so you have an idea of what you're going against. Now, let's say that you showed up at 50 seconds and you hung around for a little bit. You would be able to see if they're going pool first if it's this 17 pool. If they're doing like a 13 pool or a 12 pool, by the time you get here 50 seconds, you would see it already. So this is one of those things that if you wanted to do a drone scout, a worker scout against a Zerg to see if they're going pool first, if that's something that you're really getting hit with a lot on the ladder, there is a benefit of doing that as Protoss. You can go out and see, oh, they're going pool first. I'm going to pull my second pylon up on the high and try to wall in and just sacrifice this pylon, or going to get my gates a little bit earlier before I expand out to make my wall, get a shield battery as soon as possible, something like that. So 50 seconds, you can see that the Zerg is going to go pool first. And the next time we had was a minute and 4 if we scout off of the pylon. So actually, right here. So we would see that if we scouted off the pylon, 1, we would be able to block the drone because it hits here at 59 seconds. So at 59 seconds, we'd be able to block, and they can't take the natural, which is always a really good thing. I personally scout off of the pylon against Zerg because you can block their natural with it, which really hurts them a lot. If you've watched my PVZ build order guide for my adept timing, it's part of that build. But at a minute 4, regardless, if you get here, you can see that, wow, they haven't even started their hatch yet. They haven't even started their hatch yet. This is definitely a pool first, so you could scout it. Let's go minute 25 if we scout it off of the gate. So right here, you get up and you see, minute 25, this hatchery is very small. So just for comparison, 6 seconds, 25 seconds. Yeah, so it's almost no difference visually. There's like a little bit more creep around mine, but I mean, that's so hard to see. So honestly, if you see that the hatch is still really small, if there's only like 4 bars, or if it's still like pretty small in, I would suggest walking up the ramp and seeing what's going on up here. If you get here at a minute and 26 seconds and you see that the gas is already finished and he's got 3 in it, that's usually standard, but you're gonna want to see how, if they've already got a pool down first. So you can get up here and you can kind of click on the pool if you got up into the main. If you see that you've blocked their hatch or something like that, you should go up into the main and see how far along their pool is. If the pool has a bunch of teeth around it like this and it's almost done, you know that they've gone pool first. You have to be careful. So honestly, doing a scout off of the pylon is a little bit better because you can usually block the hatchery here, and you can see, they're not expanding, or if they're expanding really late, then you know that they've gone pool first. So it's a little bit hard. So just kind of re-summarize. 50 seconds, you can see if they're going pool first. At a minute and 25, a minute and 4 seconds off of the gateway, you can block their second hatch, and you can also see, they have a pool down before their hatchery has gone down. Or at a minute 25, you can get here and you can see, oh man, that hatchery is actually quite small. Let me go up in the main and see what's going on. Oh, he already has a hatchery. It's already, got its teeth out. So I know that this was a pool first, and I have to be careful. Next, let's talk about Terran. Talk about Terran. Okay. So again, first thing you want to do is we have 3 timings, 50 seconds, minute 4, minute 25. So let's see what's going on here at 50 seconds. If we were to send a worker scout across the map right at the beginning as Protoss, what would we see if we're fighting a Terran? Right here, you would see if they're proxying you or not. If you get here at 50 seconds, even if they've gone gas first, you would see if they have a barracks in their main, you know that it's just kind of a standard opener here. If the barracks is not here, then you know that there's a proxy. So there's a little bit of a benefit of doing a 50-second worker scout against Terran to see, are they proxying me or not? If you really are afraid of proxies, or if you're getting proxied quite a bit, yeah, sure, it's not a bad idea. Let's see what's going on in a minute and 4 if we scout off of the pylon. So you get into the main and you'd see, he has a second gas. Having a second gas before you expand means that there is going to be pressure. So it's kind of a by taste. If you want to scout at minute 4, usually they don't have their second supply depot down at that point, and you can get in. And if they have 2 gases started, you know that there's going to be pressure coming your way. There's no reason to take 2 gas if you're going to also expand out. You just can't spend it fast enough. You can't. So you know that there has to be some tech and there has to be some aggression out. So let's look at the next scout at 125. Okay, so at 125 you get in, you'd see that, oh, okay, both of these gases are completely full. He doesn't have the wall off yet complete, which is nice. You kind of sneak up in, and now if you see that there's 2 gases, my suggestion is to hang around. Hang around if you see 2 gases and see what they're doing next. If you see a tech before their expansion, you know that this is going to be pressure. 2 gas and then a factory or another barracks before they expand out is 100% there is going to be pressure coming down your way. So really, you can scout off of the gate or off of the pylon. Either one are going to tell you what's going on, but really what you want to look for is factory, if they're going to do tech before the expansion, how much gas they have. Be careful though, always check their gas. If they only have one gas and there's no tech yet, maybe they're taking expansion somewhere different or something like that, or they're proxying more wrecks somewhere. But if you see 2 gas, there's definitely going to be a factory coming down, 100%. So this might be a proxy factory over here or something like that. So always be a little bit worried about how much gas does the Terran have before they're expanding. Rule of thumb is if you go basically depot, Rex, gas, orbital command, Reaper, expand. That is like 99% of all Terran openers. If they're not doing that, if they're getting an extra gas first, or if they're getting more tech before they expand, this will be higher aggression. So to summarize, 50 seconds, you can see if they're proxying, minute and 4 or minute 25, scouting off of the pylon or the gate. You can see if they're going aggression based on how much gas they have and if they're getting tech first. Now let's talk about scouting in PvP. The meta in PvP right now is to do kind of a 1 base-ish attack. It's basically 2 gate into some tech, or you expand or something like that. So, first thing, in 99% of the PvPs that you're going to play, and not high leagues, but not in like silver. Silver or gold, it doesn't really matter, but it's going to go pylon, gate, gas, actually let's take a look. So the build order is the build order. It's going to go pylon, gate, gas, gate, cyber, and then it changes, but 99% of all Protoss are going to do this. So let's look at, my friend also here is doing just about the same build. He's doing it in a little bit of a different order than I am. But let's see what's going on. So if I do a 50-second worker scout as Protoss, I would see, is he going to cannon rush me? If you're getting cannon rushed quite a bit on the ladder, again, it's fine to go and do that scout with your first worker against them. And if you do see a forge, you can drop a pylon by their main and make them think that you're cannon rushing as well. And then they'll maybe freak out and stay home. Something like that, I don't know. It's up to you. So the next one would be off of the first gate. If you got there at a minute and 4, let's see what's going on at a minute and 4. So minute and 4, nothing is happening. Nothing is going on right now at a minute and 4. If they're going to take a really early expansion or something like that, minute 4, there's nothing going on. There's no real reason for you to scout at a minute and 4 off of the first gate. Off of the first pylon. Not a big reason. Let's see at a minute and 25 after the first gateway if we were to scout. Okay, so let's get into this base right now. What's going on? Again, not a lot of anything. 2 gases, 2 gates, a pylon. Cyber's going to go down soon. What's mine? 2 gases, 2 gates, a pylon, cyber's going down soon. There's nothing going on again, so there's no reason to scout off of the gateway. So now what I do is I scout off of my second gateway. Scouting off of the second gateway is going to send this probe across the map. Let's take a look at what this probe is going to see when it gets across there. So it's going to hit right about 150 in there, and I just do a little quick mineral walk. Now this is a good scout. The first thing you want to do with Protoss is how many pylons do you see? He has 2 pylons here. He doesn't have a cyber, but that's fine. We were just having fun on the ladder here. So first thing I wanted to take a look at, let's look over my side. So if I was to come in right now, what would I see? 1 pylon, 2 pylons, cyber, gate. This is where you want to hang around. You want to see where is his second pylon. Now, right as you're getting here, they're going to start making more units. They're going to either try to expand out, they're going to try to get some tech. So there's a lot of ways that the game deviates from this spot, but from right here you can see, am I getting proxied? If you can't find 2 pylons right as you come in, 1, 2, you know that you're being proxied. I'm not going to talk about all the different ways that it can deviate from here. I have a PvP guide if you want to take a look at that, where I talk a little bit more in depth about all of the ways that PvP can branch out. But your very first scout should be at 150. After you build your second gateway, send that probe across the map, get there and count how many pylons do they have. How many pylons do they have? If it's 2, you're fine. And then you should really watch for the third pylon. If you're really going to stay around, the third pylon should come out at about 28. Because there's nothing on the other side that can hit you right now, right? 2 minutes, 15 seconds about, you should see where the third pylon is. So let's see where his is. No pylon over here yet, but he's about to drop it, I assume. Right in Stargate. It's a little bit of a weird build he was doing. But yeah, you should always check to see basically 150, 215. The 150 scout is going to say how many pylons do you have if it's 2, and then 215. If you see the third pylon, you know that you're going to be okay. There's not going to be anything proxied on the map. So let's kind of let's go back over this really briefly. So for Protoss, there's really 3 main scouts. 4 if it's PvP. You have the 50-second worker scout. You have the minute and 4 scout off of the pylon, the minute and 25 scout off of the gate, and the minute 50 scout off of the second gate if it's a PvP. Against Zerg, Terran, and Protoss, the first worker scout can be beneficial if you're going to see if they're going pool first, if there's going to be a proxy barracks, or if there's going to be a cannon rush. The pylon scout is very effective at 1 minute and 4 seconds against Zerg, so you can block their natural, and you can see if they're doing a pool first or not. The minute and 25 scout is very good against Terran off of the gate. You can go in and you can count how many gas they have and if they're getting a tech before they expand out. And against Protoss, the minute and 50-second scout is very effective, as you can see if they have 2 pylons in their base, if they're not going to proxy you, and you can hang around a little bit longer to see if their third pylon is, if they're going to expand out, if they're going to get some tech, what's their unit comp. You can see all kinds of stuff like that. But Protoss is, I think, the hardest race to kind of get used to. You have to kind of know all of the other races in order to know when it's effective to scout with all of them. So now that you have an idea, personally what I do is I always do a pylon scout against Zerg, I do a gate scout against Terran, and I do the 51-second gate scout against Protoss 100% of the time, every time I play on the ladder when I'm playing Protoss. So right now I've got a pretty good Protoss win rate this season, 61% right now. I haven't played the most games yet, but grinding my way up, and yeah, I hope that you've learned something from this. I'm going to try to put some information down in the comments below. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a message below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.